Welcome to Module 5, Lecture 3. Today we're going to talk about ethics in social media. So let's start out with the quote from Michael White, president and co-founder of the Creative Momentum. If you Google Creative Momentum, you'll find his website, and he's got a lot of good articles that are kind of on the cutting edge of ethics, so in advertising. So if you're interested, you might check that out. So the quote is, deceiving customers to achieve financial gain is ethically wrong. On the other hand, establishing trust through honest interactions is an ethical gain and is more likely to lead you to financial gain as well. So basically what he's saying is that um, playing dirty doesn't get you very far very fast. And as a matter of fact, it will probably ruin you. So doing it right to begin with will give you more benefit than having to go and correct things. It's beginning to become increasingly crucial for companies to maintain high ethics standards in order to maintain trust and adhere to legal standards. We see every day where some company has basically over advertised or missed the mark with their consumers, and those companies pay the price. So it's just crucial now for you to be totally aware of your audience and to be ethical in all things. Social media ethics refers to promotional activities on platforms like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and others with honesty, integrity, and respect for others' rights. The ethical component involves adhering to principles of authenticity, transparency, and accuracy in all marketing communications. This means being truthful about products or services and disclosing any partnerships or sponsorships and obtaining explicit consent for data collection and usage. Now, I want you to take a little look at this particular ad. This is pretty ordinary. You might see it if you're looking up Christmas cookie recipes or something. This might get on your feed somehow. Want to roll patterns into your cookies? This would be the thing you wanted. But there's one thing that caught my eye about this particular ad, and you may not be able to see it. Um, it's this right here. Tick tack, tick tack. The clock is ticking. That is not the way that the American people would say that. They would say tick tock, tick tock. So you can tell right here that this is not a company that has taken enough time to really understand what the text should be. So they are, maybe they're not dishonest. Maybe that was just an honest mistake. But those kind of things just glare at me because there's so many things that get on our feed where that they're trying to take advantage of us, getting texts and emails and posts on social media. And one of the warning signs that they tell you to, especially Texas Tech, I mean, you have to take a little class every so often to give you the warnings about clicking on things that could possibly infect your computer system. I don't know if any of you heard about this, but last year, one of the local hospitals had a data breach, which ended up being a ransomware problem, and all those medical records they had were at risk. They were not letting them get back into their medical records unless they paid a ransom. So some you have to be careful on what you click on. And a lot of the things that we do in advertising, we want to make some kind of uh, ad that will make people click through, whether it's on social media, if it's on your email, if it's on just the web, on a Facebook, I'm sorry, a YouTube ad or something. You want people to interact with it. But there are bad actors out there that are not ethical, that are either trying to sell you a bogus item that's definitely not quality. Like this shows like it's really a high quality wooden roller. Um, or they want to steal your information or ransomware if it's really bad. So you have to be vigilant as a consumer to make sure that you don't click on the wrong thing. And you have to be vigilant, be very careful as an advertiser that you don't have anything that's going to give someone a bad feeling about your ad and it be not effective, or you get a bad reputation. So, why are ethical standards important in social media marketing? Well, I kind of went over a few of those things on my little rant there. Um, but ethical standards in social media marketing ensure honesty, transparency, and respect for users and their rights, and facilitating truth and credibility with the target audience. You want to make sure that you have that trust and credibility with your target audience. When businesses adhere to ethical principles such as authenticity and accuracy, they maintain positive relationships with the customers and uphold the integrity of their brand. Back to the little ad I had here. This little line right here gave me pause. I don't trust this company. I think that whatever I bought from them would be low quality, or it's a trick. So, little tiny things mean a lot. Prioritizing ethics in social media marketing is not just imperative, but it's also a strategic necessity for building loyal and engaged customers. Okay, so let's look at some case studies. Our first case study is Volkswagen. Now, this happened back probably about 10 years ago. Most of you probably weren't watching media and the news and that sort of thing, but this was a social media breach in that Volkswagen deceived their regulators, the government who regulate their company, and the consumers about the emission levels of their diesel vehicles. They had installed software that manipulated emission tests results and thus leading to a false claim about the environmental friendliness of their car. Um, this is something called greenwashing. I mean, this was of course against the law, but it's in that same group that you're trying to make your product look more environmentally friendly than it really is. So the consequences of this breach resulted in significant damage to Volkswagen's reputation and credibility. The company faced numerous lawsuits, fines, and recalls, leading to billions of dollars in losses and a decline in sales. I personally know someone who had a diesel Volkswagen at this time when this all came out, and they had to buy back her car and she could buy another new car with the money that she was given out of this. So it was very costly for their company. And it would have been bad enough if it had just been something internal that they had done, but they weren't really pushing it on social media. But because it was on social media, it just made it all the worse. The next one I want to talk about is Facebook. Now, this is a breach that involved the Cambridge Analytica people, where personal data from millions of Facebook users was harvested. That means they took the data that they had gathered, without personal consent for political and advertising purposes. This breach raised concerns about privacy violation and data misuse. So they basically took all of the names and probably got some kind of algorithm results from some political things that these people were clicking on, and then started bombarding them with information to change their view. So this was really a very terrible thing that they did. So Facebook faced intense public scrutiny, leading to a loss of trust among users and advertisers. The company experienced a decline in stock value and increased regulatory scrutiny, and had to implement stricter privacy measures to rebuild trust. Um, sometimes the trust is gone and you never get it back. Um, it says that they rebuilt trust, but that ad that I pulled that I was showing you before, that was from Facebook. I don't trust anything from Facebook. I hardly ever make a purchase through Facebook because I just don't trust what they're going to be doing with my information. The next case study is Amazon. And this ethical breach was something to do with their workforce. It really wasn't an advertising um, it wasn't an advertising campaign that Amazon was doing something wrong, but the issues got addressed on social media platforms and it caused all kinds of outrage. So basically, what was going on was that they were being criticized for their treatment of warehouse workers and of poor working conditions and low wages, and most importantly, inadequate safety measures. So they were caught doing those things, and the consequences that they faced was negative publicity and a backlash from consumers and easy for me to say, advocacy groups, damaging its reputation as a responsible employer. The company's brand image was tarnished, leading to calls for boycotts and increased pressure to improve the working conditions, which they, from all accounts, they have taken care of that. But sometimes a little bit of the stain is always there. So it doesn't have to necessarily be something that the advertiser has done, but because the way that social media works, if someone complains about them online, it can catch on like wildfire. It's something that has to be monitored constantly. Okay, so let's talk about key principles for social media. The most important is authenticity and transparency. It helps build the consumer trust, which is crucial for long-term relationships. People are really skeptical these days, and so genuine interactions and transparent communication fosters credibility, not incredibility, credibility. The example that of that is Patagonia. They're known for their commitment to environmentally sustainable activities. Their company transparently communicates its eco-friendly practices such as recycled materials and fair labor practices through social media campaigns and on its website. And so Patagonia, I know all of you know this one. This is probably something that you all have a piece of clothing or equipment in your house. Patagonia, if you're really athletic. And now the next one is respect for privacy and consent. Respecting privacy and obtaining consent safeguards customers' rights and builds trust. It demonstrates a commitment to ethical behavior and protects against legal liabilities. So, funny enough, we just talked about a really bad faux pas that Amazon did just a couple of minutes ago, but here we have them doing something really good. Amazon ensures customer privacy by providing clear opt-out options for data collection and allowing users to control their privacy settings. They seek explicit consent before sharing personal information with third parties, which, considering how much people buy from Amazon, I know I personally buy a lot. It's very imperative that they don't sell your information or what or the list of what you're buying and stuff like that. They use it internally so they can, say, hey, you liked this, so maybe you'll like that. But they don't sell it to any third parties, and that would be really bad if they did. But they do have that good side going for them. Accuracy and truthfulness. Accuracy and truthfulness. Maintaining accuracy and truthfulness in marketing claims establishes credibility and enhances consumer loyalty. Misleading customers can damage their reputation and erode trust. The example that I'd like to share with you here is Lush Cosmetics. Not that I am a big cosmetic user because I am not, but they maintain accuracy and truthfulness in its marketing by providing detailed ingredients lists and avoid greenwashing. Remember, greenwashing is trying to make yourself sound more eco-friendly than you really are. They accurately depict the benefits of their products, fostering consumer trust. And you can see that that's their tagline. It's fresh, handmade cosmetics. So they try to put their money where their mouth is. The next one that I want to highlight is social responsibility and impact. Socially responsible marketing contributes positively to society and aligns with consumer values, enhancing brand reputation. avoiding harmful stereotypes, and promoting inclusive, inclusive, I can't even say it. Being inclusive fosters goodwill and loyalty. So the company that does that really well is Tom's Shoes. I don't know if Tom's is as big of an item as it was just a few years ago. I personally own some Tom's and I have them still in my closet. They're not the greatest shoes. You know, but still, I liked the idea and I liked the way their products looked. So they were socially responsible by implementing its one for one model, where that they donate a pair of shoes to a person in need for every pair of shoes purchased. This initiative aligns with consumer values and positively impacts communities. So for those people who want to be doing good while making their purchases, this was an example of a very good idea, that they give a shoe for every shoe that's sold. Respecting intellectual property rights protect against legal repercussions and upholds ethical standards. It promotes creativity and innovation while maintaining integrity in the market practices. The example for this one is IKEA. I'm sure all of you have hiked through IKEA. It is basically a hike. Wear good shoes. IKEA respects intellectual property rights by designing unique furniture and home goods. They avoid copying designs from other brands and properly attribute any licensed products, maintaining integrity in their marketing practices. Oh, so many companies these days don't do that. They do knockoffs and they don't really give the nod to the people that really came up with it first. So, IKEA, I take my hat off to you for that. So, how do we apply these ethics? Well, first of all, always be genuine and transparent with your content so that it really accurately represents your brand or product. Avoid deceptive tactics or false promises to maintain trust with your audience. No new, more improved if it's not true. One good example is, I don't mean to be picking on one particular industry, but the pharmaceutical industry tends to put new and improved on things and then sell them as if they're more powerful and more potent, and they're basically just the same thing, just a new box. So you've got to really watch for those kind of things as a consumer and as an advertiser. Don't fall for that trick. Make sure that everything is genuine and transparent. Obtain explicit consent before collecting personal data and ensure that data is handled securely and ethically. Respect user privacy rights to build and maintain trust with your audience. Now that sounds like something you'd have to sign a waiver for if you're doing research. But bad things can happen even if you're not doing some kind of academic research. If you get a mailing list for a group of people and you use it for this one customer and you've got consent for collecting that data and you handle it in a way where that, oh, this other third party has basically the same needs and same audiences, we'll just use it for them too. No, you don't do that. Every single time you use it, there needs to be a consent, an explicit consent. Don't reuse people's mailing lists without consent. You can also ensure that all social media content is truthful and accurate, avoiding misleading claims or exaggerations. Fact check information before sharing it and provide clear resources for any claim made. Um, it can be little tiny type, just have where you got it and where you can actually go back and say, yes, this is the truth here. So you need to respect also the intellectual properties by creating original content or obtaining permission for using the content. Always attribute sources correctly and avoid plagiarism or copyright infringement. That goes with text, that goes with images. Use your own images. I know sometimes when we're in college, we have a tendency to use um, fake things for our classes, like we may be doing a campaign and we pretend that we're doing it for the New York Times, and in truth, we're not. That that is okay. But when you're doing something and you're getting a paycheck for doing it, don't use somebody else's content or their images. Okay, so continuously monitor your social media campaigns. Someone needs to be monitoring those campaigns to ensure ethical standards and regulations. Regularly evaluate the impact of your actions on your audience and in society as a whole. And you need to adjust as needed to uphold ethical principles and maintain trust. A lot of this probably seemed a little bit repetitive, but it was mainly given in the hopes that those things will kind of be, ingrained in your brains. In an era where brand reputation heavily relies on ethical conduct and transparencies, business must align their marketing strategy with ethical principles. You can't make wide, crazy claims that you have no way of confirming. When using social media, it's important to be mindful of your company's reputation, others' privacy, conflicts of interest, and the trust which customers, suppliers, and other business stakeholders place in you. Considering the risk to customers, the company, colleagues, and yourself is vital when using social media, as information posted online can become global and available both permanently and for republishing. So it never goes away. So be sure before you post, be sure that it's right. Okay, so if you have any questions, please email or text me. And we are going to wrap up this module with our next video. So I will see you then.